Rizal had an exemplary and meaningful life in the Pitan. On July 1892, he traveled to the Pitan under Capitan Delgas, passing Mindoro and Panay, reaching the place after 2 days. Rizal was handed to Captain Carnicero, the Spanish commandant of the Pitan. Rizal had lived in the place for 4 years. The Pitan is a remote town in Mindanao, which is under the missionary jurisdiction of the Jesuits. He stayed and lived in the house of Captain Carnicero. The relation between Carnicero, a warden, and Rizal, prisoner, was warm and friendly. They ate together and they had many friendly conversations. Captain Carnicero admired Rizal's fine qualities and personalities. He came to know that Rizal was not a common fellow, much less a filibustero. The captain gave Rizal complete freedom to go anywhere. Rizal was grateful to the kindness and generosity of the Spanish captain. He even wrote a poem on his birthday, a Don Ricardo Carnicero, on August 26, 1892. On September 21, 1892, the sleepy town of the Pitan burst on excitement for the mailboat Boot 1, with colored pennants brought good news. The lottery ticket number 9736, jointly owned by Captain Carnicero, Jose Rizal, and Francisco Equirol from Dipolo, won the second prize of 20,000 in the government-owned Manila Lottery. Each shared 6,200. Rizal spent well his money. He sent 2,000 to his father and 200 to his friend Basa in Hong Kong, and the rest of the money he invested well by buying agricultural lands along the coast of Talisay, about 5 kilometers away from the Pitan. Rizal's mother, sister, Trinidad, Maria, Narcisa, and his nephews had taken turns to visit him in the Pitan. Father Francisco Sanchez, his favorite teacher at the Ateneo de Manila, had also come to the Pitan to bring him back to Catholic fold. But all of his efforts were in vain. Despite his failure to convince Rizal, he enjoyed Rizal's company. He assisted Rizal in beautifying the town. Rizal had a long and scholastic debate with Father Pastels on religion. In all his letters to Father Pastels, he revealed his anti-Catholic ideas which he had acquired in Europe and embitterment for his persecutions of the bad friars. Father Pastels tried his best to win back Rizal to the fold of Catholicism. Despite their religious differences, they remained good friends. On November 3, 1893, he was visited by the spy of Friars, who introduced himself as a friend and a relative named Pablo Mercado. In the course of their conversation, the spy offered his services as a confident courier of Rizal's letters and writings for his friends in Manila. Rizal became suspicious, but he hospitably invited the strange visitor, considering the late hour of the night and the heavy rainfall. The next day, Rizal learned that the impostor was still in the Pitan. He reported to the Comandancia about the spy's mission to Captain Juan Sitges, who succeeded Captain Carnicero as commandant of the Pitan. Upon his arrest and subsequent investigation, the stranger's real name was known as Lorenzo Namanan, who was hired by the Recollect friars for the secret mission. He was tasked to spy on Rizal's activities. The spy was released and the result of investigation was sent to Governor General Blanco. Rizal then requested for a copy of the proceedings of the investigations, but he was denied and was also surprised at the turn of events. The incident of the secret mission of the spy was not an attempt to assassinate Rizal, but was merely to spy, a plot mastermind by the friars.
Rizal as a physician. After his studies, Rizal practicing his profession as a doctor. He charged his wealthy friends in accordance to their capacity. He also rendered free medical services to the poor, especially patients from Talisay and Dapitan. He also provides medicine for free, which he personally concocted because Rizal is knowledgeable about curative local medicinal plants. By the way, concocted means to make something by mixing ingredients. So inana si Rizal na knowledgeable siya about making own medicine. In his time, Rizal became well known on his profession as an ophthalmologist. Some of his wealthy patients came from Laguna, Panay, Negros, and other parts in Mindanao. George Stauffer, the adoptive father of Josephine Bracken, all the way from Hong Kong went to the Philippines for an eye treatment. That was how Rizal and Bracken met for the first time. In July 1894, Rizal operated the right eye of his beloved mother, Doña Teodora. Despite Rizal's restriction, Doña Teodora was unstoppable on reading, going out in light, and even removing the bandage from her eyes all by herself, causing the wound to be infected. Because of that, Rizal understood why a physician should not treat the member of his family. However, Doña Teodora's sight was fully restored. Another patient named Don Florencio Ascarga, an hacendero from Aklan who was cured from an eye ailment and paid Rizal a cargo of sugar. Now let's talk about Rizal as a farmer. Jose Rizal bought from the money he won in Manila Lottery a 16 hectares of land along the coast of Talisay where he built his home, school, and hospital. He planted coffee, sugarcane, coconut, and fruits. Rizal continued in acquiring more land until his total land area reached to 70 hectares with 6,000 hemp plant and 1,000 coconut trees. Rizal discouraged the local farmers in their primitive ways of farming and introduced the modern method of agriculture he learned in America and Europe. Rizal as a businessman. In Dapitan, Rizal had a business partner named Ramon Carrion. They made profitable ventures in fishing, copra, hemp industries, and lime manufacturing. They earned up to 200 pesos in every deal. On January 1, 1895, he organized the Cooperative Association of Dapitan Farmers to break the Chinese monopoly on business. He invited Saturnina to come over in Mindanao to engage in textile, jewelry, and hemp business. In his letter to his brother-in-law, he requested to buy a big net and bring 2 elite fishermen in Calamba. The fishing net came, but for some reasons, the 2 fishermen could not come. So Rizal taught all by himself to the local fishermen how to use the fishing net.
In June 1892, Father Pablo Pasdiels, a mission superior, accompanied by Father Joaquin Sancho, visited the Dapitan to check on their missionary work. Then, he found out that water wells were insufficient in providing portable water for the populace. And he also observed that these people were drinking no other water than of wells. And then, that wells have a yellow complexion that can cause hepatitis virus in the liver due to contaminated water. So what he did is, he organized the press, and all the press find another source of water, and they found water site called Linao, a little more than 2 kilometers from the town. The water are very good and were purified since they came from far, flowing down among steep rocks, water pills. After they discovered the Linao, they made a proposal to the government and passed it on July 21, 1892 to create a water work project, and it got approved. So, the Dapitanons were indeed grateful for the approval of the Waterworks project, which they celebrated with festive activities and games, a good opening salvo for the upcoming feast of the town's patron sent on July 25. Jose Rizal arrived in Dapitan on July 17, 1892 as an exile and described his place of exile in his introduction to a novel that he planned to write. The beautiful river that he described was the Liburan River, which splits into 2 river outlets in the area of Bagting and Pulo before emptying into the Dapitan Bay. Although the Dapitan was surrounded by water, the water from Liburan River was not fit to drink. So, Rizal discovered the waterwork project, then he commended it to Dr. Ricardo Carnicero, the politico-military commandant that time. The Linao Water System project began when priest named Juan Costa, an expert potter, arrived in Dapitan on April 18, 1893. He is known for building the waterworks in Balingasag, Misamis Oriental. He immediately built a kiln in an area rich in red clay soil, which was situated near the Pitusan River. The kiln was erected for baking bricks, gutters, pipes, and other essential material for the project. There was a delay on the said project because they waited for Brother Costa's arrival and the Dapitanons promised to help the said project. Around 1894, the Linao Water System Dam was constructed. Meanwhile, Rizal did his part for the Linao Water System, as he known for being a perito agrimensor or expert surveyor, a skill he learned at the Ateneo Municipal. So, in February 1895, while the Linao Water Works was underway, Rizal began making his own water system in his private house in Talisay. Around 1895, he built a fountain with sculpted lion's head faucet, which was similar to a water fountain that he saw on his trip to Heidelberg, Germany, way back in 1886. From 1895 until 1850s, the Linao Water Works supplied Dapitans with fresh drinking waters as modern water system were introduced in the second half of 20th century. The Linao Water Works became obsolete. The Fountain de Nuestra Señora del Carmen was demolished to give way to the construction of the
Group 3, Rizal returned to the Philippines as a school teacher. Number 1, Rizal involved in boarding school in Dapitan. Rizal taught the Dapitanos folks applied engineering, and Rizal gave lessons on business and entrepreneurship. Rizal inaugurated the boarding school in Dapitan, his home. Rizal's high school class was a model of the ideal boarding school. Rizal believed that a teenager's national consciousness could be excited by the community services. He proved this taught his hands-on school program while exiled in Dapitan. He has 16 high school boys who live near his home were chosen to be his student. They earned their living by apprenticing in his medical clinic, as well as in his horticulture and stock farm, while academic lessons were done in the afternoons, free of charge. Field trips out to mountains, caves, and seashores became actual botany and zoology lessons. The dictum, sound body, sound mind, was lived out as he taught the boys boxing, swimming, wrestling, and fencing. Rizal taught the Dapitanos folks applied engineering. With his knowledge as a land surveyor, Rizal planned new street layouts of the road on Dapitan and constructed them with the cooperative labor of the people. He likewise set up lighting system of coconut oil pumps installed along dark streets. Using his limited knowledge in engineering, he provided the town with a water system completed in 1895 with the help of his pupil and the townspeople. A mountain stream several kilometers away supplied the water. The foundation of the dam and the aqueduct pipes were built out of discarded roof tiles, bricks, gin bottles, and stones, with mortar made out of burned seashells and corals. Ever conscious of the public health welfare, Rizal drained the marshes to minimize the dangers of malaria caused by mosquito. Recalling that he learned from Belgium and Germany, he invented a wooden machine for making bricks, manufacturing at least 6,000 bricks daily. He also introduced a hemp stripping machine to increase the productivity of the abaca planters. Rizal gave lessons to business entrepreneurship in fishing industry. Despite of the abundance of marine life at sea, the Dapitanians had no fishing industry because they know nothing about using and making fishing nets. Rizal requested his brother-in-law, Manuel Hidalgo, to buy a big net for troll fishing and send him 2 competent Calamba fishermen to teach the people better fishing methods. The nets came, but the fishermen didn't. So Rizal trained the locals himself. This eventually established the local fishing industry in Dapitan. Entrepreneurship and farmers cooperative. Rizal also observed that the Dapitanese did not engage in business, setting an example of self-help to curb the Chinese control of domestic trade. He and the business partner Ramon Carrion established a farmers cooperative managed by the people themselves to improve farm productions, promote cooperative marketing, and extend protection to its members. He was fully convinced that the community improvement was the impetus of national government's respect and integrity. Thank you.
In 1887, Rizal's first invention was known while in Calampa. He invented a cigarette lighter called sulpuka, made of wood which he sent to Blumentritt. Its mechanism is based on the principle of compressed air, Rizal said. Recalling what he had learned in Belgium and Baden, Germany. While in the Dapitan, he invented machine for making bricks, which can manufacture about 6,000 bricks daily. When he wrote to Blumentritt in November 30, 1895, he requested him to find out another method that the Bohemian used so as not to waste much heat to bake bricks. He also introduced a hemp stripping machine to improve the abaca industry, increasing the output of the abaca planters.
Writing and artistic works of Rizal's in Dapitan. The poem written by Rizal's in Dapitan, the first one is My Retreat. My Retreat, it was written by Rizal at the request of his mother. It described the melodious verse, his quiet life in Dapitan. It's one of the best poems. This poem tells us the story of someone who lived the chaos of the modern world to be alone and reflect the future. It is the last poem Rizal write. Second one is Hymn to Talisay. Hymn to Talisay it was written by Rizal to be sung by his students, a vigorous song which praises the free life in Talisay. The third one is To Joseph and Bracken. The poem To Joseph and Bracken, it was a lovely poem dedicated to Joseph and Bracken, a pretty girl from Hong Kong who became Rizal's faithful wife. The fourth poem Rizal did is to Don Ricardo Carcenero. This poem written by Rizal as the birthday greetings to Captain Carcenero, who became his admirer and his friend. The fifth one is the Song of the Traveler. This poem, it is a beautiful poem. It captures so well the loneliness of immigrants. It was the sad poem of a lonely traveler who was destined to roam from shore to shore. This poem speaks of Rizal's homesickness and despite of his enjoyment. Artistic works of Rizal's in Dapitan. He contributed paintings of the Sisters of Charity who were preparing the sanctuary of the Holy Virgin. He made a sketch of a person of the things that attracted him in Dapitan. Modeled a statue called the Mother Revenge to stress the moral of the incidents where a puppy of his dog, Syria, was eaten by a crocodile. Constructed a statue of a girl called the Dapitan Girl, a wood carving of Josephine Bracken, which is his wife. He made a bust of St. Paul for Father Pastels.
So, the Katipunan. Rizal was not directly a part of the Katipunan, even denouncing the group and disagreeing with the cause. However, he served as an inspiration to its members and was considered as its honorary president, with his name even serving as a password for the higher-ranking member of the movements. When Rizal's arrest and his exile in 1892 stirred a chain of events that lead directly to armed insurrection for national independence. On the night of Rizal's arrest, Andres Bonifacio, a self-educated man, a humble origins, founded a secret society, the Katipunan, or also known as the highest and most respectable association of the sons of the people, modeled on the Masonic order and committed to winning independence for Spain through revolution. The Katipunan, like the Masonic ages, had secret passwords and ceremonies, and its members were organized into ranks or degrees, each having different colored hood, special passwords, and secret formulas. New members went through a rigorous initiation, which concluded with the Pacto de Sangre or Blood Compact. From its origin in the Tondo district of Manila, the Katipunan spread gradually to the provinces. By August 1896, on the eve of the revolt against Spain, it had against Spain katong the revolt against Spain, it had about 30,000 members, both men and women. Most of them were members of the lower and lower middle income strata, including peasants. The nationalist movement had effectively moved from the closed circle of prosperous illustrados to a truly popular base of support. The organization grew very rapidly because the insolent and provocative way in which the friars carried out their campaign against reforms had annoyed the masses. It perhaps too grew so well because the organization of the political association was prohibited on the archipelago, and those the middle class, which was the most educated and influential, not being able to move freely, could not support openly the Liga Filipina, since that class was more in favor of the Liga's program, even after having endured most cruel sufferings.
In continuation to our report, let's talk about Rizal and the Katipunan. Let's begin with Bonifacio Simisari, or in Tagalog, ang sugo ni Bonifacio. Bonifacio Simisari is no other than Dr. Pio Valenzuela. On June 21, 1896, they left Manila on board steamer Venus and went to the Pitan. Together with him was a blind man named Raimundo Mata. He brought Raimundo Mata to cover his real agenda in the Pitan. At night, when they arrived, Valenzuela revealed Bonifacio's plan on launching revolution towards Spanish government. Jose Rizal strongly objected this project for two reasons. Because number one, for him, Filipinos are not ready for revolution. Second, funds and arms must be raised before the revolutions, which they lack. Rizal suggested that revolutionary leaders must do something to prevent the flood of the native blood. But Valenzuela insisted that at any time, revolution may break out if conspiracy is discovered. When they sensed that the revolutionary leaders were dead set on launching their audacious project, Rizal suggested that it is much better to get first the support from the rich and influential people. He further suggested to recruit Antonio Luna because Rizal strongly believed that Luna's knowledge in military science, tactics, and military operation will surely strengthen the revolutionary movement.